We're speaking with Holly and Chris from My Mechanical Friend, a short film that's in competition at the festival. So congratulations and welcome. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine.
Thank you. So yeah, if you could just tell us your association to the film, how you related to the film. It's a bit of a silly question, I know what it is, just for the viewers. And then one, if you need to give me a brief synopsis about it.
You can do that.
You can do that.
Okay, you first then.
Okay, so I'm Holly Seidel. I'm part of My Mechanical Friend. I co-wrote it with my husband, Lincoln McVeigh. I am an actress in the film, and then I co-directed it with Chuck Astuto and produced it. Chris Betts here is an actor in the film.
The film, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I play Chris Betts, which is my name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
a stretch.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that must have been tough.
Oh my
It
God.
really was.
So many takes. Try and do it again.
Great, the story's fascinating. Yeah, but so what is the
The story,
sorry.
basically the premise is that a woman living in New York, her brother sees on Craigslist that there's a mechanical friend for sale, and he thinks like, this is actually what my sister needs. It'd be nice for her to have a mechanical friend. So he just buys it off Craigslist, sends it to her without really telling her, and then she has to deal with this new thing in her life, even though she was perfectly happy without it. Now she has to try and figure out how she feels about having a robot in her life.
And how did you who came up with this? Where's the idea? I mean, it's not like, should we just make this clear, just as an example, that we're not talking like a David or Walter from Alien Covenant or that kind of AI. I would talk. This is so
the
where
thing
does this
about
come from?
This robot it looks and seems like a person. So, in fact, for almost the whole episode, I think this just might be a guy like putting her on. And he just is a guy. He's just a person. So there's always the question: is he just a person or is he actually a robot? Because he doesn't seem like that savvy of a robot, and he just looks like a person.
Yeah. And where did this come from? Who came up with this?
The idea actually came from the fact that my husband and I had this friend Andy who we just adored, and we used to joke about we wish that we could just have an Andy whenever we wanted one.
Oh God, is he based on Andy?
Yeah.
Does he know? Does Andy know that you based Andy?
Knows, and it's named Andy.
Yeah, of
so
course, right.
There you go.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So he's well aware. Yeah.
So that's the premise of the
That's
idea.
the premise,
And
that
did you actually?
What if you could just have a friend whenever you wanted?
Oh God, we're all one of those. Did you? So is a stupid question. The robot is based on Andy, and he's got Andy's mannerisms and ways, right? Okay.
Some of them.
And you've decided to this great idea. So where do you go from there?
Right.
Immediately, you've got this fantastic idea. What happens next?
What happens next in the story?
No. From the initial idea and then building towards actually making this.
So that was the little seed, and then the first version of the script, it was a play, and so it was going to be just a stage.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And it kind of got put into a drawer, and then I really wanted to make something, and I remembered it, and I dusted it off, and I kind of rewrote it so that I could update some of the concepts because smartphones became so big in the last few years, and so the idea sort of expanded into, well, actually we all have mechanical friends in our pockets every day, right?
Yeah.
And so it's also sort of a comment on what's happening right now in society, and how differently do you feel if it's just this flat thing in your pocket or if it's a presence in front of you that looks like you, and how do you relate differently to that?
Yeah.
And the fact that it's infringing on your life, like this is infringing on your life too.
We talked about this in another filmmaker earlier, just how the paradox is they're great, but sometimes in the last few months I actually feel like smashing mine to pieces because it's become so intrusive, yet essential.
Right. So it's the intrusiveness that a human figure can really show, because here's this thing walking into this woman's apartment, and you, as an audience member, hopefully feel like, oh my God, you can't just have a thing walk into your apartment and say, I live here now. And yet that's what we do with smartphones. They're just intrusive much more secretly, right?
Well,
like
yeah.
a body, you could feel its presence and you would be maybe more overwhelmed by
I can literally see someone on their phone now, literally. And that's how intrusive it's becoming. I'm as guilty as the next person, to be frank. And actually, so what's quite interesting is you've immediately told me that you actually wrote this before the real birth of smartphones, so you then had to adjust the story to fit the kind of change that's happening in society, or not really?
It wasn't written before before the birth of smartphones, but in the last few years, I feel like they're so innocuous now. You know, like
Right.
it went from only some people had them and they came out sometimes to everyone has them out all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not seen as rude anymore if you're talking and I'm on my.
I do all the
It should
time.
be
I
rude.
know. I do all the time. I done it last night. I went out for a meal, and then, but we all, and then I did feel a little bit rude. But then everyone was doing it. You know, someone take a call, and they're like, yeah, okay. And I don't think it's enough of an excuse to say, actually, I've got to take this call, because even then, I think I don't know. It's a tough one to call. Perhaps I've just become used to it, because we all become used to it.
Exactly.
You know, and can this, or would this still be, or has it become a stage play?
Has it become
I know you said it was written originally as a play,
Yes.
but has it, or could it still be, or have you turned it into a play? Is it just for the screen only? Because it could be quite easily, couldn't it?
Could be, yeah. But now we've added some things that I think would make it much harder to do it on a stage. I think it's better now as a visual art to see it on the screen.
And it could easily be expanded anyway, I guess, if you ever wanted to. You know, if there's
So the idea is that it's actually a pilot, and so it would be a series. We're hoping.
Right.
We just finished filming the second episode. And so,
oh right, okay. So what's it? Is it called My Mechanical Friend 2?
Well,
Seriously,
the
I don't.
series would just be My Mechanical
Right.
Friend. It would be episode 1 through 6.
So so there's a reason. Obviously, you've done it as a second part. I'm guessing there's been some kind of interest, or things have moved on since.
Sure.
So are you able to tell me what's happened since, and why you've done the second one? If not, don't. But if you know, I don't want to put you under
I don't know
pressure.
if I want to give up too much.
No, don't, because I don't want you to tell me something you wish you hadn't told me. But
Right, me too.
I think the intent was always there to do
It was always a
an
pilot.
arc of
Okay.
several episodes.
Yeah.
So we're just moving forward with episode 2
Right.
just to keep the story going and the momentum going.
Because there's a lot you can tell.
perhaps sort of frame it this way: that something has clearly happened that's made you do that, and you know, that's why you've done a second one, of course. So can you actually seriously see this now becoming a series? Is that likely to happen?
Oh, I sure hope so.
Sounds like a wonderful opportunity. And I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, but can you answer me if it's going to be something that's going to be on demand, or is it going to be a wet?
I don't have answers to that question.
Okay,
Yes.
right, okay.
So,
Let's move on.
Yeah, we
Let's
don't
move
know.
on. Tell me about your role.
Oh, so I play one of Ophelia's actual real life friends. And so my name is Chris Betts in the show, and I'm rehearsing for the Chris Betts show, which is an actual entity of its own.
So is an actual, did you
Yes.
say? Right, okay.
he produced 7 episodes of a show called The Chris Betts Show. So in this show, he's going to rehearse The Chris Betts Show.
So when you get the call, someone says that we're going to pay you to be you, you'd be like, why would I say no to that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, of course I had to say yes. I mean, I was so flattered.
It was written for him, obviously.
Right, okay.
Yeah. No one else could play him.
So you've got the gig to do all this, but a bit odd to, you know, that's actually, we're joking about it, but how often do you get a call to play kind of yourself? All joking aside. No, but all joking aside.
I don't think
it's a rare thing, isn't it?
often, unless someone plays himself, but I'm not playing myself. Just
No,
playing
it's
a
a-
character.
it's-
named
Yeah,
Chris
you're in
Betts.
character, aren't you?
Yeah.
But so it's not actually you, you're,
Correct.
so it actually makes it a bit more bewildering, isn't it?
But he's pretty close. He sounds and looks like me.
He does.
So from this kernel of an idea, which you're all intricately involved in now, a bit of a silly question, because obviously it's going to be successful with what I now know is going on. So you're happy with the whole vision, how this character, this mechanical friends become, and is it kind of moved on to how you hoped it would be? Does that make sense? So is the end, this kind of end result where we are now, you're pretty happy overall with the sort of vision you've built with this story. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes. I think I was very, very lucky to have the DP that I have, because so much of it for me is visual. I wanted the story to be told in this very New York quiet way. It's not filmed like a comedy, even though it is a comedy. It's filmed as though it's not a documentary, but maybe a more serious thing.
A mockumentary, is that what you call it?
It's not. I mean, it's not a mockumentary.
It's more natural. There's
There's something about it that
there's realism in there.
there's a lot of realism, and so hopefully, as an audience member, you're watching and going like, "Wait a minute, what is happening?" And that was there's a little absurdist quality to it, and that was very important to me. So visually, it's going exactly the way I hoped.
And do you think it's interesting you said about defining it, and a filmmaker said to me a couple of days ago that they feel that with the mashing up of certain genres and not being able to not define certain shows and
for the better.
Yeah, for the better. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's important. So I was asking about your opinion about it.
I think that's what I'm happy about, is that it's so many things at once instead of just putting itself into a box. It's just many things, and I'm happy with that.
And maybe it's a reflection of the execs underestimating people's intelligence that are watching these shows. Because a couple of things I've seen here, I've found it difficult to sort of pigeonhole. Like I said about a docudrama and mockumentary and, the mashup of these things. But yeah, I think it's, maybe a better thing to ask you is, did you have a genre at the beginning that you thought this fit into, or not? And if you did, it didn't evolve that way. So did you start out by saying, actually, it's just going to be a half an hour non-comedy, something put together to say, or not?
I mean, we always knew it was a comedy. A couple of the characters are broad enough that it's obvious that it's supposed to be. I think with shows like Transparent, where you're watching it, and I think it thinks of itself as a comedy, even though it's hardly a comedy.
What about Orange is the New Black? I mean, is that a comedy? Because it seems quite amusing to me in certain places, but I don't think it's necessarily meant to be a comedy. I don't know.
So many, right? There's so many with all these blurred lines. I think that's exciting. When you're doing improv, they say, top of your intelligence, your humor has to be, your characters can be smart, and they don't have to be dumb to be funny. And I think maybe as a society, we're getting more and more, so we want things to be said to us at the top of our intelligence, rather than dumbing it down, being like, don't you see that's funny? Just saying stuff that is funny without winking at the camera.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I just wonder, or maybe this is a question, it's moving so fast. And using the analogy of the smartphone, I've had a smartphone only for about 3 years now, which is probably a lot to uptake for a lot of people. Where are we going to be from 5 years now? Because I don't know. And I'm talking about this from your work view rather than me. So, is video demand going to be the thing that takes over everything? Like the Netflixes, are cinemas going to die? I don't think cinemas are going to die a death. I think it's still a very important thing. But you may have a different view. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Who can tell?
I mean, for film, I think that there is no escaping the fact that it has to be on the big screen. I think that there is something that's magical about that. And I don't think that's going to die down. But for watching TV programs, I mean, I have an iPhone, and I was thinking about, on this trip, I was like, am I going to be able to watch anything on my phone? But it just seems like even that takes away. Like, I'll still want to watch something on TV, whether it be live or on Netflix. So I don't know, if the iPhone is really going to change that.
Art. You do want to be. It has to be big enough that you feel like you can get in there, right?
Yeah, and I wonder if, case in point, I might mention, I saw Alien Covenant last Friday, which I actually thought was really brilliant. But we got it a week before you in the UK, and it sort of making me think that there's studio execs all over the world, let's use it, that are either given the green light to prequels or sequels or whatever you call them. Now it's a sequel and a prequel, of course. And it happens to work really well because they've probably got a built-in audience. But who is the studio exec that's given the green light to the new Dirty Dancing? And why on earth would you do that? Or who's the studio exec that's given the green light to remake Psycho shot by shot? Or who's the guy that's done the Ghostbusters, which I haven't seen? But the point I'm trying to make is you kind of get the impression that there must be a guy. Who's the guy that's going to say no rather than say yes? Because they're all putting their hands up, going, yeah, it's a great idea. Well, I have nothing to do with film, and I'm kind of thinking that's a shit idea. Whose idea was that? Does no one have the ability or strength to say, actually, that is a terrible idea?
Right. And why don't they?
Well, I don't know. So what point have we reached where we are grasping around some of these crazy ideas, but on the other hand, usual film as an example, the point I'm trying to make is there are still brilliant ideas out there, but who are the studio execs that aren't looking at that, and yours and all the other films, and going, what the hell are we doing? Well, there's still great original ideas.
Right. Well, and then you wonder how to get your idea in front of those people so that they can say yes to you.
But they must know, they must get inundated with ideas, and who's sifting through those and just jettisoning the 99.99% of them?
But what's more is that it's happening across the board. It's happening in film, TV, and on on Netflix with the revival of Fuller House. Because like ABC is now going to revive Roseanne. So it's the recycling and the familiar aspect of these shows and movies are what they're hoping that built-in audience there. So it's less of a risk.
I mean, the funny thing about smartphones is that it allows people to take in content all the time. And so I think these executives are like saying yes because they're like, as long as we have more content to give them, and then maybe they're not being as smart about what they're choosing. I don't know.
Yeah, oh, I see what you mean, overwhelm them with content rather than saying, is the content actually any good?
Yeah.
I suppose maybe the whole thing with video, I keep getting back to this Video on Demand and the Netflix and all the others that are coming on stream, that perhaps does give you more opportunity to get your work out. So that's the flip side, the good flip side, isn't it?
The good flip side.
But I'm not being funny, like I said, I don't even need to see a frame of Dirty Dancing to know it's a terrible idea to remake. Why would you do that?
Right.
So you do get these opportunities, but then you get that kind of, who are these idiots that saying, yeah, let's do that? Seriously?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Having said that, I am going to watch it.
No.
It's on next week. I already have a DVR.
You are going to watch it?
I'm going to watch
What, the
it
new
first.
version of Dirty
Yeah.
Dancing? Oh, was it? I didn't realise it was about to come out. I was literally about to come out.
Yeah, it's next week.
Maybe you'll say to me, email me, say, Steve, you were
I'll
wrong.
email you.
It was brilliant.
I'll tell you.
But I suspect you're going to say, not good.
Not as good as the first
Not
one.
as good as the first.
How could it be?
Yeah.
But that's, well, yeah, but and that kind of is the worry that you just can't believe these people have been paid all this money to come up with these kind of odd, to me, ideas. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting away from it. So yeah, the future, where are we going to be in 5 years?
Well, I don't know. It's going very fast. I think someone said to me the other day, the sands keep shifting, and I think that's such a good analogy. It does feel like the sands keep shifting, and so even the executives at Netflix don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. It's just changing that quickly, right? And
Yeah.
Who knows?
And I suppose also, because you often hear, I know TV shows live or die by audiences, of course, and that's how they judge them, but I suppose it's all become watered down so much. There is so much choice as well.
Right.
And you said it yourself, you thought about watching something on your iPhone. And that's a typical example of how things have become watered down, because we all have this wonderful choice. So actually, I'm maybe being a bit unfair, because maybe a studio exec's job is harder than ever now.
That's right.
That might be the thing, mightn't it?
I think the dream is that, when certain shows like Broad City, those girls were making, those young women were making their content for 7 years or so before someone picked them up and said, we see what you're doing and we think it's brilliant and we want to give you a chance. Just the fact that anyone gets plucked up like that gives independent filmmakers the idea that it's worth it to make your content and put it out there, because maybe just the public will help, raise it up high enough that people will see it and then want more.
Yeah.
And have the funding behind you to make what you really have as your vision.
Now, again, slightly moving away from My Mechanical Friend, because you might not better talk about this, is there other projects that you've got that are ongoing, completely separate to this whole series? And if there are you able to talk about them?
I have another script that it's a short film that I would like to make. I've been so wrapped up in My Mechanical Friend,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to figure out how many days it would take to shoot it or any of that. But it's called It's Nice to Be Here, and it would probably be about a 40-minute short. So that's definitely on the back burner, but it's on a burner.
And I suppose with things like My Mechanical Friend, I know how time-consuming putting one together, let alone two, and you've got to now think of, well, this happens, then everything I'm doing has just got to be put on the back burner. I should have. How long have you actually both been working in film, and has it been your life's career, as it were?
I mean, I've been an actress for years, but this is my first
Foray
time,
into.
yes, being a producer and director. So
Oh, well, that's interesting. So, is it? I suppose, as you have a great career in acting, is it kind of the alternative life you hoped it would be in terms of being on the other side of the camera?
it's very exciting. I worked on a web series a couple of years ago, and being on their set and seeing how they were putting everything together was really where it clicked for me, where I thought, oh, I can do this. I can figure this out, and why don't I? What am I waiting for?
Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about today, is that there are opportunities where you can make your own thing and put your yourself in it and play the role you want to play.
Brilliant.
And there's no reason not to.
No. And it's the same for you, Chris. I don't know, how long have you been in the game, as it were?
Well, I'm mostly a theater actor, so this is my first actual on-screen project. And the first time we shot our scene, it took some time to try and like lower me down because I'm just so used to projecting. And so that was a struggle, but we nailed it.
You were great. We got there.
I love it when I speak to actors that have done theatre first and then they're out of their comfort zone. I hate saying that, but I know it's different. I'm not a no actor, but is it different in a way that you really enjoyed?
I did enjoy it. I thought it was a different. I mean, I took some classes in college for acting for the different genres, but it was interesting to find a different level of acting, which I thought was exciting. So in episode 2, we did some more, which I found even more exciting. So yeah.
Chris doesn't want to be a thesp anymore. He's moving on.
I got the bug, yeah. No, but I mean, I'll probably go back to the theater. But this is fun for now.
You could do both.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Thank you
so
very much.
much.
Was that okay?
That was
Lovely.
It was joyful.
Well, there he is.
Of course it's hard, but she's not gonna meet anyone moping around her apartment.
You can't fault someone for feeling down.
I'll be a good friend to you, David.
Actually, you're from my sister Ophelia.
Ophelia. That's a lovely name.
Do you need me to sign for it?
Excuse me?
Sign for the package? Aren't you the delivery guy?
I'm the delivery.
Have you ever heard of a mechanical friend?
Like a vibrator?
David bought it for me on Craigslist.
He just sent this thing to you without asking? I'm your friend. The best friend a girl could have.
I'm great company.
Are you supposed to help me figure out my life or something?
No, I can't do that. I'm just a friend.
Oh, dude, relax. It was just a goof. You know, I really like Ophelia, so I want to let her know I'm around, even if it's just goofing on her.
That is an amazing party trick. I still think you're just a person.
Look, just don't throw me in the garbage.